covering all your local high school football games with highlights and scores. Now, Football Friday, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Football Friday. I'm Gary Harris, and I don't know if this is a good thing or bad thing. Everything's done. You know, usually on this show, we're running around like chickens with our heads cut off. But tonight, everything is done and ready to go. So we'll see how it goes. This is Football Friday, as I said, presented by Alabama Credit Union. This is week 10 of the high school football season and week 11 of Football Friday. Remember, the first week of our show was week 0. That's the way it works. Football Friday is an hour again this year, and we have highlights, I think, 12 or 13 games. Not as many games tonight, simply due to the fact that there aren't as many teams playing in this final week of the regular season. Plus, we'll have our complete Football Friday high school scoreboard, our Football Friday band of the week, our premier service company Outside the Huddle feature, recruiting tales, around the SEC, Conyers Corner, and more. And we begin with our game of the week.
Now, the Football Friday Game of the Week.
Let's head out to Tuscaloosa Academy, where the Class 2A Knights, with a 7-2 record, played host to Class 3A Bayside. The Admirals coming in from Daphne. Both these teams with 7-2 records, scoreless in the second quarter. Bayside trying to punt, but the snap gets away. Jack Wilkinson dodges a few defenders and manages to get it away. That is a great job, but still good field position for TA inside the 35, and Preston Lancaster strikes. He zips a touchdown to Mark Norris in the front corner of the end zone. TA goes up 7-0. That was the score at halftime. But on the second half kickoff, the Admirals' Cade Lyons takes the kick and just goes straight up the gut. I guarantee you, head coach Jody Wright of TA not going to be happy with that. The Knights give up a 95-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. We're tied at 7 later in the third quarter. Bayside threatening. Admirals quarterback Bo Miller play action and finds Monroe Parton for a 15-yard touchdown. 13-7, but the Admirals missed the extra point. That would be huge in this game because Tuscaloosa Academy Josh Wright and the Knights have a response. And Lancaster, this is why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the state, to Norris again, who makes an acrobatic catch. That is the tying touchdown. TA, though, made the extra point, and that was the difference in the game. TA with a huge win, 14-13. Why is this so big? 2A versus 3A? Well, both these teams are playoff teams, but TA had lost 2 games in a row. They did not want to go into the 2A state playoffs riding a 3-game losing streak. I promise you, that won't happen. They win tonight. Our high school analyst, Joe Gaither from Bama Central, will join me later for more analysis of this game and a look ahead to the state playoffs next week. One win, Paul Bryant hosted winless Tuscaloosa County High for senior night here in Tuscaloosa. Both these teams wanting to finish their seasons with a win. Wildcats came out early. Jashawn Moten high points this pass from Carter Dotson and grabs it for a 26-yard gain to set up the Wildcats in the red zone. Tailback Kamori Jackson then on the screen does the rest. 12-yard touchdown. Wildcats go up 7-0 early. After surrendering his safety, the Cats continued to move the ball with efficiency. Dotson finds Moten over the middle for a 38-yard touchdown. That's pretty easy right there. It's 14-2. Remember, Bryant did get a safety. Dotson continued his impressive first half. The quarterback, Carter Dotson, to Kamori Jackson, and Jackson makes a couple of men miss. Running after the catch. Boy, that's important. 21-2 at this point. But the Stampede were not done. Tailback Brandon Johnson says, see you later. An electrifying 66-yard touchdown run brought life back into the Paul Bryant home crowd, but the Wildcats took the momentum right back in the second half, and they controlled the game from there on out. That was the biggest highlight for Bryant, but TCHS on this night just kept making plays, although they throw the interception there. But they get the win tonight, 42-8 the final. So County High only gets one win on the season, but it's a win over an area rival right here in the West Alabama area, and it give them a little momentum going into the offseason. Of course, both these teams with brand new head coaches, so they're building for the future. And Wildcats get the win tonight over the Stampede. Northridge is in the Class 5A playoffs, but tonight, or Northridge is in the Class 6A playoffs, I should say, but tonight they closed out the regular season at home against Minor. Senior night at the Ridge, and there is Colin Kapilovic with his father, Chris, and Mona Mother Fiona. And here comes the Jags on offense. Rowdy Christensen to Braylon Tubbs. Tubbs does the rest, 60 yards for the touchdown. And he ran right by the camera on the way to the end zone. Tigers on offense now. Sherman Williams keeps it himself, and he is stuffed. Jags defense was on lockdown in the first half. Northridge back on O, and here Christensen finds Mason Elam. And Elam says, I'll see you in the end zone. Jags back on offense, all Northridge tonight. Kapilovic on the receiving end of the pass from Christensen. And the big tight end knows what to do with it. 21-0 Jags on top. They led 35-0 at half, and they go on to win it big, 45-13. Northridge finishes the season 7-3, and they've got momentum heading into the 6A playoffs next week against Russell County. 45-13, the final. Northside at ACA tonight. These two teams playing for bragging rights. Northside in the playoffs, ACA is not. So you know the Pats would love to get a win over the playoff-bound Rams. Rams will get off to a good start. Bennett Greene, 2-yard touchdown, 7-0. Northside goes out on top. Next possession for the Rams, and it's Jackson Rose to Evan Taylor on the slant, and you got to wrap up. ACA does not, and Taylor makes them pay. 59-yard touchdown made it 14-0, but the Patriots would come back. Their outstanding quarterback, Kai Young, to K. Durrett. Durrett runs a great route, and then he turns on the Jets. 66 yards, cuts it back inside for the touchdown, 14-7. In the second quarter, though, Northside comes up big on special teams. They're going to block the punt, and Miller Robinson is going to scoop and score. 21-7 Northside at halftime. Third quarter now, and it looks like the Rams are going to put it away. Bennett Greene with a 15-yard touchdown. That made it 28-7. ACA would fight back in this one. It got interesting, but the Rams get the win. They get bragging rights here in West Alabama over the Patriots. 35-28. Northside headed to the playoffs. More on them coming up later on in the show. All right, this is the final week of the high school regular season, and it rolls on because when we come back, Pickens Academy traveled to Utah to face Greene County tonight. Plus, we had a state championship decided here in Tuscaloosa in the 8-man Christian Association. Jacksonville Christian took on Russell Christian of Meridian, Mississippi. We'll have the highlights when Football Friday returns here on WVUA 23.
We are the Tuscaloosa County High School cheerleaders.
And we love Football Friday
On WVUA 23.
TC High!
TC High! TC High! TC High! TC High! TC High! TC High!
Love our cheerleaders. Thanks to Pool and Patio Center for bringing them to us all season long. And welcome back into Football Friday on WVUA 23. I'm Gary Harris. Pickens Academy is in the AHSAA now after moving up from AISA. And the Pirates closed out their season this evening at Greene County. Now the Tigers missed the 2A state playoffs on a tiebreaker. Let's go to Utah for this one. Both teams looking to finish out their season with a win. On the first drive of the game, it's Greene County quarterback Ronald Weiler Jr. taking the snap and getting it in for 6. The extra point, though, was blocked. 6-0 Tigers. Pickens Academy here can't handle the snap, and that leads to Damian Isaac recovering in the end zone to put Greene County up 12-0. Late in the first quarter, it's Pickens Academy mounting a drive. Running back Aaron Kirk finds the end zone. The Pirates get on the board. They went for 2, but did not make it, so it's 12-6. Second quarter, 4th and 6 for Pickens Academy, and quarterback Brady Kilpatrick throws it deep to Braden Banks. That's the way to pick up the first down, deep into Greene County territory. Later in the drive, Kirk is going to muscle it in for a second touchdown of the night. This time the 2-point conversion was good, and the Pirates had a 14-12 lead over the Tigers. 32 seconds left in the half, and this is big. Wilder Jr. is going to connect with Jahari Barnes. First and goal inside the 10, and on the last play of the half, Wilder Jr. punches it in for a huge touchdown to give Pickens County, or I should say Greene County, my mistake, the lead, 20-14 at the half, and Greene County goes on to get the win. Those uniforms look a lot like Pickens County. 34-20, the Greene County Tigers over the Pickens Academy Pirates tonight over in Utah. All right, South Lamar at Sulligent tonight. We were hoping to have highlights from that game for you, but as you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. So not able to get those South Lamar at Sulligent highlights, but we do have the score for you, and let's go ahead and pass it along. Sulligent, they've played well down the stretch. Remember, they beat TA a couple of weeks ago. They're going into the state playoffs with some momentum. They blow out South Lamar tonight, 42-14 the final. The 8-man Christian State Championship game in Cottondale tonight between Tuscaloosa Christian hosting the game between Jacksonville Christian and Russell Christian out of Meridian. Here's the game starting fast with Jacksonville on its first possession. A snap goes wrong, recovered by Russell Christian's Carter Simmons, and that leads to a pass to Andrew Cole. And then the quarterback, Bo Morphus, hands the ball to Ty Jones, who takes it in for the touchdown, and Russell Christian goes up 7-0. Jacksonville, though, gets it back, and they respond. Noah Lee connects with Jesse Ganaway for a 25-yard strike for a touchdown. 2-point conversion good, 8-7 Jacksonville Christian. And then Jacksonville Christian in the second quarter. Quarterback Lee runs the ball in himself for a 2-yard touchdown. And after a scramble, later Lee finds Brodeur in the end zone for the 2-point conversion to make it 16-7. Jacksonville Christian over Russell Christian. And as we check out the final, it is Jacksonville Christian tonight getting the win. They are state champions as they take down Russell Christian tonight, 36-27 the final over in Cottondale. Well, 9-0 Spain Park at Gardendale tonight. Spain Park looking to close out the regular season with a perfect 10-0 record, but Gardendale is no slouch. They lead 3-0 in the second quarter, but the Jags coming back. C.J. Cowley cuts to his outside for a 20-yard pickup. The Jags are driving. Now Dakari Shanks, 15 yards as he bounces it off left tackle down inside the Gardendale 10. And later on the drive, Brock Bradley calls his own number for the short quarterback sneak. Jags take a 7-3 lead over the Rockets. Gardendale, though, gets it back, and Deacon Dyer gets it to Braylon Henry, but he coughs it up. You can't turn it over when you're playing a team like Spain Park. They do. Hagan Holly recovers, and on the very next play, Clemson commit Brock Bradley shows off his arm as he finds Corey Barber in the corner of the end zone. Jags up 14-3, and the Spain Park defense, as they've done all year, it's just swarming tonight. Dyer scrambling. He gets sacked by Nathan Bird. Spain Park goes up into the half, leading 14-3. And as we check out the final, the Jags get it done tonight, 35-12 over Gardendale. So Spain Park, indeed, in Class 6A, finishes the regular season 10-0, and they're one of the favorites to win the 6A state championship. Well, still to come this evening, we'll have our Football Friday Band of the Week. But first, more high school highlights. 7A Vestavia and 6A Clay-Chalkville tuned up for the state playoffs tonight by playing each other. Ought to be a heck of a ball game. We'll let you have the final outcome, the results, and the highlight coming up next on WVUA 23's Football Friday.
We are the Wenonah High School cheerleaders, and we love Football Fridays
On WVUA 23. Roll Waves.
Keep going.
And welcome back to the big show. We're back for the final week of the high school regular season here in Alabama. So let's get back to our highlights. Clay-Chalkville at Vestavia, 6A at 7A. These two teams both headed to the playoffs in their respective classifications next week. But this was a big game. And Charles Taff, on the quarterback keeper for Vestavia, sets up a touchdown right here as he tucks it in himself and scores. And the Rebels go up 7-0 over the Cougs. But Aaron Fry, feeling the pressure, escapes and finds Marlon Compton for a first down. Facing 3rd and 4, though, miscommunication. Quarterback not ready for the snap, and that sets the Cougars back. They'd have to punt it away. And in Vestavia, in the second quarter, Bruce Littleton, 30-yard touchdown run. Even though this is 6A versus 7A, I think most people would consider it an upset if Vestavia won. 14-0, but right there at the end of the half, Aaron Osley on the handoff to make it 14-7 as he punches it in for 2 yards out. Let's check out the final in a very, very competitive game. But Vestavia with a huge win tonight. I don't care if you're 7A, whatever. If you beat Clay-Chalkville, you've done something. But that is the Cougs' second loss. Remember, they lost to Oxford for the region championship. So Vestavia with a big win has some momentum going into the playoffs, and Clay-Chalkville, though, will reset And in Class 6A, they're going to still be hard to handle. Remember, they are the defending Class 6A state champions after they beat Ryan Williams and Saraland last year for the title. Well, Homewood hosting James Clemens tonight. This is the first ever meeting between these two schools. James Clemens coming down from Madison, actually hosting this game. Or no, actually traveling. I got it right here at Homewood tonight. And it's Joey Lucanow coming from behind and stripping the ball from Matthew Evers. Truss Darnell scoops it up. Patriots have the ball. And then Caleb Carson with the touchdown pass, and the Patriots up 17-3. Eric Davison then takes it in from a yard out, 24-3 at this point, and Homewood goes on to win tonight as we check out the final. Big win for the Patriots over James Clemens from up in Madison, 24-10, the final. Fairview at Good Hope. This is a battle of two undefeated Coleman County teams, so that place was rocking tonight. Two really good teams in the same county. And we had ourselves a heck of a ball game. Aggies would establish the ground game. Check out bruising tailback Jake Harper, dragging defenders into the end zone. 7-0 Fairview strikes first. Second quarter action. Good Hope goes to the air. Screen over to Tucker Malin. What a juke. He avoids a would-be tackler and then takes it 36 yards for the touchdown. We're tied up at 7. The rest of the first half would belong to the Aggies, though. Once again, big number 14, Jake Harper. He's a load. On third down, he turns on the Jets. And this is a long, long time ago, but there was a great running back in the early 70s for the Kansas City Chiefs that wore number 14, Ed Podolak. That's kind of who he looks like, if you remember, out of Purdue. Way, way back. But some of you older people may remember. Here's a touchdown here, and Fairview is up 14-7. Under 2 minutes to play in the first half, and the Aggies want more, and they would get it with another touchdown, and they will go on tonight, and let's check out the final and get the win at Good Hope. Huge win for Fairview. 48-21. That place was packed tonight. It was jumping, and I was able to get an Ed Podolak reference in. So that's pretty cool. All right. 9-0 Oxford at Florence. And the Yellow Jackets looking to close out a perfect regular season on the road. We're going to pick it up here with Oxford with the ball. And it's going to get picked off, though, as it just kind of gets stuck in the defender's stomach, and he gets the interception, but the Oxford defense would hold. Oxford gets the ball back. Quarterback Mason Mims this time finds Nick Richardson as he rolls right, and Richardson, who's had a fabulous year, shows you why, takes the pass for a first down. Same drive, Mims looks like he is going to run the ball here. Good job of faking it, but then he throws it out to Jalen Taylor. He gets it into the corner of the end zone for the touchdown. Oxford leading the game and has the ball again. And this time Caleb Wynn on the handoff. And once he cuts it up off tackle and cuts it back, he is able to get a first down for the Yellow Jackets. And now in the fourth quarter, and it is Wynn who is going to crash in for the touchdown. And Oxford does indeed close it out with a perfect regular season, 34-10, as the Yellow Jackets win tonight up on the road in North Alabama over Florence. All right, Thursday night action, Bessemer City taking on Wenonah. Purple Tigers trying to spoil the Dragons' homecoming, and this is a pretty good start. Vernon Slaughter finds Cameron McAdory. 7-0 Bessemer City goes out on top. Later in the second quarter, Wenonah tried to step up its game, but not here. McAdory with the interception after he caught the touchdown. He's a two-way player early in the third. This time it's Wenonah, though, coming up with the pick. And it's not just a pick. Kassan Abrams takes it back 88 yards. Suddenly we're tied at 7. Huge play. But Bessemer City would kick a field goal, and that would be the difference in this defensive battle as Bessemer City gets the win over Wenonah by the final score of 10-7 on Thursday night. All right, that's going to put a lid on our Friday night highlights, but still to come, our high school analyst Joe Gaither will join me for a closer look at our game of the week and the first round of the state playoffs. But first, the rest of the scores from this final Friday night of the regular season. Our complete Football Friday scoreboard is on the way. We'll be right back, everybody. That was the Central High School Marching Band. They're our Football Friday Band of the Week. Well, welcome back to the show. It's time now to check in on some area scores from across Alabama. So to do that, let's turn our attention to the complete Football Friday scoreboard and run them down for you. All right, here we go. It was Central tonight winning at Jacksonville. And speaking of the Falcons, good segue out of the Band of the Week. The Falcons didn't get into the playoffs. They had a pretty solid year, though, under DeMario Pippin, and they closed it out tonight with a big road win over in Birmingham over Jackson Olin, 49-20. Aliceville is headed to the playoffs, and they beat Greensboro tonight, 34-21. It was Jemison winning at home tonight over Hale County, but Hale County also headed to the playoffs. And Holy Spirit, look at this. They went on the road and, according to our Joe Gaither, and we'll talk about this more later, qualify for the state playoffs with that record that they put together this year. You know, at times they had had some tough games, but 4 teams from the region go, and Holy Spirit, we understand, has qualified as they beat Summerton Christian tonight, 28-13, the final in that game. It was Marion County winning at Lamar County, 48-35, and Wetumpka did something, because when you come into Demopolis and you beat the Tigers on home turf, I can't tell you how difficult that is to do. If you follow high school football, you know what I'm talking about. But Wetumpka did it tonight at Demopolis, 22-9, the final in that game. It was Hubbardville over Hackleburg in the Battle of the H's in West Alabama. Hubbardville gets it done 28-22, and Hamilton wins at Tarrant 28-6. Carver all over Cordova tonight, 42-0. And it was Meek, anything but Meek tonight against Carbon Hill, 54-12 the final. It was Corner over Springville, 38-14, and Hueytown outslugged Pinson Valley, 99 points in this one, 57-42. The Golden Gophers get the win. It was Briarwood, another high-scoring game, over McAdory, 55-35, and J.B. Pennington falls on the road at Weaver by the final of 54-21. And look at this. Berry scores 78 points tonight. Berry is 9-1. The Wildcats are having an incredible year. They've been racking up the points, 78 more tonight. They're headed to the playoffs. And it was Dallas County. Well, we had some games tonight, didn't we? How about 109 points in this one? Had 100 and what is that, 23 in the other game. But Dallas County 67, RC Hatch 42. And that is going to wrap up our, hang on, I got one more score down here I'm going to grab because I meant to get this one on, so I do not want to forget. So let me pull it up here because I don't want my folks down at Southern Academy to get upset with me. I promise you, I've got it. I'm going to get it on before we hit the break. It was Southern Academy beating Hooper Academy tonight, 51-21. Well, that is the complete Football Friday scoreboard, but we aren't done with high school football. When we return, Bama Central's Joe Gaither will join me for a closer look at tonight's game of the week between Tuscaloosa Academy and Bayside Academy. What a game. And we'll also take a look ahead to the first round of the state football playoffs next week. Football Friday will continue right after these messages.
We are the Central High School cheerleaders, and you're watching Football Friday on WVUA 23. Let's go!
And welcome back to Football Friday, presented by Alabama Credit Union. I'm Gary Harris, joined now by Joe Gaither from Bama Central, and it's time to take a closer look at our game of the week, and then we're going to look ahead to the first round of the state playoffs. Joe, you were out there tonight at TA. This was a huge game. First of all, you've got Bayside Academy out of Daphne. They're a really good 3A team headed to the playoffs, I think second in their region. You got TA, of course, region champion, but having lost 2 games in a row. And the last thing they wanted to do, I think, was go into the state playoffs on a 3-game losing streak. This one went right down to the wire, but missed extra point was the difference. TA gets a 14-13 win.
Absolutely. TA played a really good field position style game. Preston Lancaster threw 2 touchdown passes to Martin Norris, and I think Preston Lancaster might be one of the better passing quarterbacks in the area. But
in
really,
the state.
Absolutely. They played a very strong game, but keeping Bayside Academy right on the edge of the red zone, missing 2 field goals was really the difference. You're seeing the long kickoff return to open up the second half. This was really the biggest highlight play for Bayside Bayside Academy. Outside of that, it was strong defense from TA and really solid quarterback play by Preston Lancaster. Maybe hurt by a couple of drops from his receivers, but really just a strong performance from the Knights.
It's a really strong year in state for 2A. How do you see TA? Do you think they're a state championship contender?
Well, really, I mean, it all comes down to the guy who's under center, and I think Preston's really underrated. I mean, you see, this was a beautiful pass right on Martin Norris's hands. I think that he gives them a chance because of the way he distributes the ball, protects it from an offensive perspective, and allows Josh Wright to kind of call whatever he wants offensively. They're hosting North Sand Mountain next week, and I think that they got a really good chance to keep to advance very far in 2A.
Yeah, 8-2, and they look really, really strong tonight. And they'll host next week, as you said. All right, let's talk about some other teams as we look ahead to the state playoffs. Great video there from Stu McCann, by the way. What are some of the matchups here involving West Alabama teams that you're really looking forward to? Kind of run a few down for us,
Well,
Joe.
I've got about 8 or 9 here from 1 all the way to 6A.
Okay.
Holy Spirit's going to Leroy. That's what I match
Yeah,
up.
listen, if there were high school lines, this would be a big one. They're prohibited underdog, but they made the playoffs. Give it up for the Saints.
Absolutely. Finishing 4th in their region. Their 2-4 record with a little tiebreaker over RC Hatch gets them in, and that's a huge step. Yeah, big challenge, but a huge step for their program. You got Pickens County, perennial 1A school.
Yeah, not what they typically are, but they're in the tournament.
Yeah, they finished 4th in their region with a 4-6 record, but their region record 4-3. So they're going to Hackleburg next week, which will be a little bit of a challenge for them. In 2A, as you said, Aliceville is on the road with Pisgah. They finished 4th in their region. The TA obviously winning their region. They'll be hosting North Sand Mountain. I think the TA might be your best bet in West Alabama. Now, Gordo, 3A, Gordo finished 2nd in their region, and they'll be hosting Rogers next week. Hale County is going down to Bayside Academy, so a little bit of maybe they got to look at the TA
scouting report.
Exactly, maybe they got to look at the TA game a little bit. In 4A, Bibb County will be hosting Opp, and then 5A, West Alabama's got 3 schools. Northside is going to Williamson, Sipsey Valley is going to Viger, and UMS Wright is going to be going to Demopolis.
Yeah, Demopolis with that loss tonight. And in 6A, Northridge, you know what? They've gotten a lot better as the season's gone along.
I think that they're really embracing who they are, and you had Coach Kadilovich's son have a really big game for them tonight. They'll be on the road to Russell County. They finished 3rd in their region, and really given, I think, what they've experienced over the last couple of years, turnover, a lot of their talent is now on the Alabama roster. I think that they're doing pretty well.
And lastly, this year in Class 7A, it's as wide open as it's been in a long time.
Oh, absolutely. You have really, in our region, we thought about maybe Hillcrest competing in that region was very tough for them. But I think that you got Hoover, you got Saraland without Ryan Williams now. They're going to be, and Thompson's wide open. I think that 7A is going to be a lot. Central
Auburn,
Phoenix City, it's going to be great.
Unbeaten, so it's going to be wild. Playoffs next week, and we'll have it on Football Friday. Well, when we return, we'll have our award-winning Outside the Huddle feature. That's coming up next on Football Friday.
We are the Tuscaloosa Academy Knights, and we love Football Friday. On WVUA 23 Sports. Go Knights! Let's go!
And welcome back to Football Friday on WVUA 23, presented by Alabama Credit Union. I'm Gary Harris. Well, tonight's Outside the Huddle feature, presented by Premier Service Company, is all about the mascots. Boy, what they provide during the games is so much fun, but it's just a sampling of what they do and the lives that they impact. The mascots, as I said, are so much fun, and the people inside the costumes are special. The word mascot comes from the French word meaning lucky charm. We see them at games, pep rallies, and various events throughout our communities. But have you ever wondered what's happening behind the mask? These beloved characters aren't just costumes, they're the heart and soul of school spirit, brought to life by dedicated students who transform into larger-than-life personalities. For thousands of high school and college students across America, putting on the mascot suit means becoming someone entirely different. It's a tradition that builds confidence, creates memories, and sometimes even changes lives.
It's my senior year, and I wanted to have like a good, fun blast at the end of it. So I just decided, hey, why not? Let's do it. Go into games, people not know who I am and just become, like, basically just be Batman. During games, I'll go up to the student section and I'll just try to hype them up with the game. If we're in the lead, I'll try to get them up on their feet. When I'm not doing that, I'm up in the stands with little kids, you know, having handshakes, high fives, hugs, pictures. I'm just the biggest fan of little kids.
Becoming a mascot isn't as simple as just putting on a suit. Like any other athlete, aspiring mascots must prove themselves worthy of the role. Schools take their mascot selection seriously, looking for students who can embody their institution's spirit and values.
We do mascot tryouts just like we do cheerleading tryouts here. There is a score sheet, there's a sign up. They come in, they will learn a skit, they learn how to walk, they learn the do's and the don'ts.
The training is comprehensive, covering everything from character development to safety protocols. These students aren't just wearing a costume, they're learning to become performers. While you might think all mascots are naturally outgoing performers, the truth might surprise you. Sometimes it's the quietest students who shine brightest behind the mask.
Chandler was very shy. And I know, like, when you have that suit on and nobody can see you, that you can kind of come out of your personality. Mascots can come in all kinds of personalities. When you put on that suit and you put on that head, you get to be somebody else.
For some, being a mascot becomes more than just a high school activity. It becomes a pathway to higher education and a career in spirit programming. Take Big Al, the University of Alabama's beloved elephant mascot. Since his debut in 1979, he's become one of the most iconic mascots in college sports.
Around the 1950, 1960 is kind of when all these mascots originally were starting. Big Al was a little later into the game. The students at Bama were like, hey, all these other SEC schools have mascots. We want a mascot too, and that's kind of how Big Al started.
Our entire spirit program, they receive some type of scholarship, so that is applied toward their tuition, or you know, if we have somebody that's already on a full scholarship, then it would go toward the other fees that they have.
But being a mascot isn't just about sporting events. These characters become integral parts of their communities, touching lives in ways that go far beyond the field or court.
We got to fly with Big Al to California for a wedding for a weekend. But even the stuff that isn't really big like that is what really makes this job worthwhile. We visit nursing homes, we visit little kids for their birthdays, we make video messages to send to people, and it's really the little things that make this job so amazing.
They are at all home events for 5 sports. Really, they go everywhere. They're in schools every single week. They're at Children's Hospital, a program that kind of helps shape who they are.
Mascots do more than just entertain. They create memories that last a lifetime. Behind every mask is someone dedicated to bringing magic to their community, one smile at a time. That is awesome. And you heard my voice there, but really I want to thank Don Ward, Theodore Fernandez, and Piper Jones, because they really did all the work putting that great piece together. Well, coming up, Conyers Corner. Love Eddie Conyers. And Andrew Bone's Recruiting Tales. That's straight ahead on WVUA 23's Football Friday.
I remember when Coach Bryant first came here, it was going to be a lot. Obviously, it's riding on the game every year, but some years the Southeastern Conference bowl games, all. And this particular one was a lot riding on it. And I remember Coach Bryant the last day at practice, he was telling the players where we staying here, going over some things, and not really saying an awful lot about Auburn, as I remember. And he said, okay, well, that's it, we'll go. And then everybody started walking off. And he finally called everybody back, and he said, well, Saturday up in Legion Field, we used to call it Legion Field in Birmingham, we're going to play Auburn. He said, we're going to whoop there, you know what. And it was just kind of like, oh, yeah, by the way, sort of thing. And they did, as I remember, whoop there, you know what.
Conor's my man. When it comes to Iron Bowl stories, he's one of the best. Welcome back to Football Friday. You know, early on after he took the Alabama job, Nick Saban made it a priority to dominate in-state recruiting. And every year there were a handful of guys that Alabama put the full court press on in-state. One of them was Russellville's Brent Callaway. Here's On3's Andrew Bone with this week's Recruiting Tales.
Brent was one of the top high school football players in the state, in the country, from Russellville High School up in North Alabama. He committed to Alabama fairly early, considered himself a solid commitment, but other schools were still pursuing him, including Auburn. So he ends up taking a visit to Auburn, ends up flipping his commitment to Auburn, but everything we heard after that was, you know, Auburn's in it, but that's not necessarily where he's probably going to end up going to school. He's probably going to end up back at Alabama. You didn't want to believe it at the time because it had literally just happened, and all of a sudden he went silent. Did not talk to anybody, did not talk to the media. Everybody was trying to figure out, where is Brent Callaway? The weekend before National Signing Day, he ends up going out of town. And, you know, was this a ploy by Alabama? Was it a ploy by somebody in his hometown to just get him away from everything and let him clear his mind, let him think, you know, what do you want to do here in the future? I don't know. But he ends up going down to Florida, ends up going down there and getting, you know, staying in a condo for the weekend, up until the moment that it was close to National Signing Day. Well, as we got to National Signing Day, you know, word started to leak that he was going to flip back to Alabama. It didn't turn out the way he probably wanted to, you know, for his college career, but he had certainly one of the most discussed recruitments ever on a Alabama and Auburn message board at the time, because, you know, it was, where is Brent Callaway? It was kind of like, where is Carmen Sandiego? Where is Brent Callaway? He was hiding out somewhere. He was not talking to anybody. What was he going to do? And all of a sudden, he flips back to Alabama.
All right, even though Alabama doesn't play this weekend, the Tide still practice this week before taking a couple days off for the weekend. Here's Tide TV's Christopher England, first off the field with Alabama tight end Robbie Oates.
I'm Christopher England with Tide TV, joined by tight end Robbie Oates from the Alabama football team. Fresh off the practice field, Robbie, just how's practice? What's the vibe out there after that big win over Missouri?
You know, the vibe's great out there. We had a great physical practice today. You know, we're kind of taking advantage of this bye week, kind of get healed up a little bit. Everybody's dealing with a little bit of something at this point in the season. But, you know, just to have a couple days to kind of slow down and self-reflect, you know, that's very important for us.
Coming off the Tennessee game, how big was that, just not only for like your confidence, but for momentum to get a shutout win against a quality top 25 SEC team like Missouri?
Very important. You know, like you said, we came off a tough loss, and you know, as any football team, losing a rivalry game like that, it's, you know, a little bit discouraging. But we were able to kind of rally the troops, get back together, get focused, and go out there and kind of show what we're capable of, you know, if we all just lock in and do our role. So, you know, very important for the momentum going forward.
For the offense in that game against Missouri, you had 271 rushing yards. That's the most rushing yards this season since week 1 against Western Kentucky. You're a guy that's a big part of that, throwing some blocks there at the tight end position. Just kind of talk about that. Was that more of a scheme thing, or is this running attack really starting to gel a little bit for this offense?
You know, I really think it's starting to gel a little bit. I think if we got, you know, all 7 guys, linemen, tight ends, you know, on the same page, we can do that every week. You know, we're a physical group, very capable, very talented. You know, I think this is something that we can see moving forward, you know, just kind of getting dirty, grounding and pounding.
Next week, it's going to be LSU next Saturday night in Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. How can the offense kind of deal with that going into LSU? Because, you know, it's going to be a night game. It's going to be rowdy. Just how much of an effect does that have on the offense?
Oh, I mean, it has a huge effect. There's no denying that. The SEC is just, you know, going on the road, it's going to be loud. You know, it's going to be a hostile environment. We got to be able to go on silent count. We got to be able to communicate, you know, without actually hearing each other. And that just comes through preparation, being on the same page, you know, getting extra reps after practice, working on our silent count, you know, working on our timing and our routes. Everybody's on the same page. We just got to get it tightened up because it's going to be tough.
Alabama and LSU both has 2 losses, you know, to kind of keep your playoff hopes alive and everything you want to accomplish. This is a big game. Is that something you think about, or you just block kind of all that out and just take care of what you do on the field, and then that will take care of all that?
Like Coach DeBoer preaches, 1-0 mentality. You know, you can't worry about the rest of that stuff. Just take care of what's in front of you, take care of the present, and everything else will set itself up.
Well, I appreciate it, Robbie. Good luck next Saturday. Enjoy the bye weekend. You got big plans for the bye weekend?
Not really, just staying home, resting up.
Man, get rested up. It's going to be a big one next Saturday night at Tiger Stadium in LSU. For Robbie Oots, I'm Christopher England reporting from the Hank Chris Indoor Practice Facility.
Despite Alabama being on a bye this week, there's plenty for Alabama fans to keep track of. Let's start out on the plains of Auburn as it hosts the Vanderbilt Commodores. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia has been a, pardon the pun, thorn in the side of Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze. In his career against Freeze, the Commodore signal caller is 2-0 with 575 total yards and 9 touchdowns. Last year, when he was at New Mexico State, Pavia was 19 for 28 for 201 yards, 3 touchdowns, and most importantly, 0 turnovers in a 31-10 rout over the Tigers.
I'm sick of seeing that quarterback. I've had enough of him, and what a competitor he is, and the job that Clark Lee and his staff have done there. Man, to be in the games and have a chance to win all the games they're playing against the nation's elite is just so impressive.
Moving on to the game of the week in the SEC, it is the world's largest outdoor cocktail party between Georgia and Florida. This is the first time since 1995 that the game will be aired on ABC. The last time Georgia lost to a team not named Alabama was against Florida in 2020. Georgia's coming off their biggest win of the season when they knocked off top-ranked Texas, despite Bulldogs quarterback Carson Beck throwing 3 interceptions, and he has now thrown multiple interceptions in 3 of the last 4 games. Ole Miss still has playoff aspirations, but will need to win out to have a chance to sneak in as they take on the Arkansas Razorbacks before their big showdown against Georgia. Like most Ole Miss fans, head coach Lane Kiffin was hoping his team would get the primetime slot to create a home field atmosphere the fans would enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's proven over time in NFL and college, you know. Playing at night in electric atmospheres is a home field advantage, and tough when you got to do that as a opposing team. So that's been proven for a long time. And so who won at night? LSU gets to play at night again, I guess. Shocker. So that's 2 for 2 for them. It is an advantage. I feel bad for our fans, you know, to not have one night conference game is really unfortunate for them, and so whatever. It's just really disappointing, but it is what it is.
And finally, check this out. Tennessee will rep their all-black Halloween-themed uniforms against Kentucky. The Volunteers revealed these uniforms on most social media platforms, such as X and Instagram, on Monday. The game is scheduled to kick off at 6:45, and Gary, I can't hate, these uniforms do look pretty fresh. That'll do it for Around the SEC. For Football Friday, I'm Hunter Brantley.
Thank you, Hunter. Nice job taking us around the SEC. Well, we'd hoped to visit with Richard Scott for the game day forecast for this weekend, but we're a little short on time. Good news is Alabama doesn't play, but the games over at Mississippi State and at Auburn going to have highs in the 80s. It's supposed to be a beautiful weekend. So if you are headed to a game this weekend, wherever you're going in this region, the weather is going to be nice. It won't be a problem. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Football Friday. This is our final week of the regular season, but Football Friday will be back one more week with an hour show next week for the first round of the state playoffs. We'll have you covered here on Football Friday. Then after that, we won't have Football Friday anymore, but we will continue to cover the high school playoffs all the way up until the state championship game. So we'll still have coverage, but next week's the final week of Football Friday. Our reminder to catch all your weekend sports coverage here on WVUA 23 on Saturday night and Sunday night at 10 o'clock with WVUA 23 News at 10. All right, here's everybody on your screen that makes the show possible. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll be back again next Friday night with another edition of Football Friday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the bye week for Alabama, because next week it's LSU week.